Okay, we are now live on YouTube. Welcome, everybody. Today is August 17th, and you are watching Epic Sketch Time. I want to thank Elizabeth and Bill for joining me today. Why don't you guys say, oh my God, it's repeating. Let me go in and mute that. There we go. Did you guys get a double echo on that?
Oh,
I'm not.
well, I heard a hint of it. Yeah.
Okay. There we go. So my name is Mark Monlux. I live in Tacoma, Washington. This is my studio office behind me, and I'm a freelance illustrator and cartoonist. And today I'm going to be working on an illustration for a client's blog. Elizabeth, you were first in the room. What's up with you?
I'm Elizabeth Gazzetti, and I'm an illustrator and author from Seattle, Washington. And today I'm working on another poster that I'm trying to accomplish before Krypticon.
Nice. I'm Bill Morse. I'm an illustrator and cartoonist working out of Seattle, Washington. And I also do a webcomic called Rhapsodies. And today I will be coloring a one-page Halloween comic that I sort of stopped working on for a while. And then I finally finished the inks on it yesterday.
You know, if I was smart, I would be working on a print for Krypticon. Maybe something featuring Billy Zane. Yeah. But I'm not that smart. Let's see. I just happened to be doing one for Reanimator 1 year, and that worked out fine. But and I think I sold at least 4 prints for the Reanimator. When is Krypticon? It's later this month for sure.
27th, 28th, 29th.
Oh man, that's next week.
I know. That's why I'm trying to get all these posters done.
That's a tough one. Especially, I'd be more excited to draw demons than Billy Zane.
Well, I'm drawing vampires. I'm not drawing Billy Zane.
Well, they like to have the actor on it so that they can sign down by their photograph. Who knows? Oh my. You've given me much to think about.
I know. It's just coming up so quick.
I could draw him as the Phantom because I've always enjoyed the Phantom, but I think that's a smaller demographic.
Yeah, I had a similar instance when I saw that the Necronomicon was going to be in Providence, Rhode Island in about a month, which had me regretting that this was not the time I'm visiting my folks.
The Necronomicon?
Yeah, it's this.
I know. As far as I'm concerned, it's the movie prop, isn't it? Or are you talking about the actual someone else's Necronomicon?
I'm talking about the convention of H.P. Lovecraft fans. Emphasis on the con.
Okay. Now it makes more sense to me now. Thank you, Bill. But you do know that there is a Lovecraft convention that happens every year in Portland.
I'm aware of it, yes. I have a friend, Mark and I have a mutual friend who used to run a comic book store who was a regular at it.
So I'm going to put on share screen option. I want to show you guys what I'm working on. One of these days, I'll figure out how to do this.
So this is replacing the one that the person I think you're talking about next, or is it a completely new piece?
Oh no, it didn't get. It's a completely new piece. The one that I did for him, he used.
Okay.
It just didn't. It just got when he was trying to promote it. Okay, so here we go. So this is how I'm going to show a quick time lapse on this. Where do I see? How do I do time lapse again? Go up
You-
here, click on this, then I hit share.
It's
No.
the arrow one.
Oh, there we go. There we go. The video. So I was actually using my little manga figures to get the positions right. And he was, when we were kids, there was this thing called a spank machine. At least that's what kids in his neighborhood. You all line up and then you crawl through the legs while everyone spanked you when you went through. And so he's seeing an article on asinine games kids would play. And then he was saying, well, you know, they look a little too adult. And I thought, okay, so I need to change their head shape and change their width of their legs and length of their legs. So now they look a little bit more childish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see if I right now, I think if there was something to make the hands look a little more motion to them, because at the moment it looks more like fondling than slapping.
Yeah, I just don't think I'm going to be able to get it. So I'm just going to, he's approved and signed off on it. So the moment that happens, I'm happy.
Okay,
So,
just saying.
yeah. Now I was trying different type of hand positions, and it just looked, all I was doing was making the hands look more awkward than what they were. So, and so you're drawing vampires, Elizabeth.
Yep. Lots of vampires. I mean, so one of the reasons I'm going to Krypticon is to promote the podcast. So I feel like I should have a lot of vampire art too.
Why don't you promote your podcast right now?
So I am the writer of the podcast Paper Flower Consortium, and it is a podcast set in the largest vampire coven in Seattle. And every episode, the librarian answers a question from like a listener and then tells a story about that question. So if you had a question about like how vampires feel about crosses, she will talk about that, and then she will tell a story about crosses and how they don't affect vampires, because not all vampires are Christian. And they don't affect Christian vampires either.
Yeah, I remember that being touched on in detail in Bram Stoker's Dracula. My favorite version of that, though, was where it was claiming that it was all about belief. And there's this fairly good vampire comic miniseries that Vertigo did in the 90s, no later than the 90s, called Vamps.
Mm-hmm.
And because of where they were touching on, and because of how relics are powered by belief, a deranged hobo successfully warded off one of the vamps using a hubcap.
Okay, yeah. Well, I don't think a hubcap would work with my vampires either.
Yeah, I liked the way they handled it in the Bram Stoker version, where the first time we're shown how vampires react to the crosses was with the bride scene. Was they reacted briefly in irritation and then they made it melt.
Yeah, I really like that too. I love the that version of Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yeah.
He is so good. Oh, and I got a really good review on Accident Among Vampires today.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, from the Prairie Book Review. It was super good, and I was really, really happy. So I celebrated with a white chocolate mocha.
It's a good way to celebrate.
Also, that means Walnut got to go to walk over to Starbucks with me, and they love to like give Walnut treats. I mean, I guess everybody loves giving Walnut treats, but
So what type of work is Katie doing today?
she didn't say, so I'm assuming it's her other job,
Ah, okay.
her non-artsy job.
Yeah, regrettably, my most convenient Starbucks was a victim of the lockdown. So,
Oh, that's too bad.
Really?
yeah, I mean, admittedly, there's another Starbucks 3 more blocks away, but as far as place I go for my morning breakfast sandwich, it's just far enough away that I find it more convenient to make porridge. Yeah, no, I'm surprised, knowing Starbucks, I'm surprised that they dropped it. I mean, admittedly,
Well, you are in the University of Washington. How many co-eds are hanging out these days?
not as many as there used to be. I mean, as far as the immediate Starbucks, there's the one I just talked about. The one they closed, which is on 47th or something. The other one that then beyond that, there's one on 43rd, which is open, and there's the one at the Suzella Library, which I don't know whether it's open or not, because I think it's going to be a while before they let anybody who's not a student into the Suzella Library. And then after that, there's one in the University Village, and those are all the close ones I am aware of. There's probably one in Wallingford that I'm forgetting about.
The closest Starbucks to us is really busy because it's on 2 major bus lines.
Uh-huh.
So even though it used to actually have tables and stuff, and there's no tables anymore, like all the tables and stuff are closed off, it's always still busy in there.
So just so that we don't have some talking heads on the screen, I'm just going to go ahead and do this. And I'm actively drawing. I'll just do a screen. I'll share my screen. And then as soon as one of you guys want to show off something, let me know and I'll let you share. Not to hug all the spotlight, but I thought, why isn't this sharing? Come on, click this, hit that. There we go. This week has not been a good week for my friends on Facebook. Over the weekend, lots of my friends either lost loved ones or dogs. Okay, wait. How terrible.
That's really sad.
I was just wondering, has that been a trend on have you been noticing that the more Facebook friends you have, the more bad news you seem to hear?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I've been having my head in the sand because the only piece of bad news I heard today, locally, I mean, was apparently some concert at the Gorge yielded 200 new COVID cases.
Oh. Well, that's sad and scary. I admit I'm a little nervous about going to Krypticon, if I'm honest.
Well, I did SummerCon,
Yeah.
and that they did it very nicely. They were, there was distances between tables. I would say about 80% of the people wore masks. I mean, didn't wear masks, but I think that given that we're supposed to be at that 70% of people being vaccinated at this point.
Well, and I know that Krypticon said that everybody has to wear a mask.
Yeah, and I think that's a good policy.
I do too.
Definitely, even if you are vaccinated. I mean, not that I've been stupid about it or any way, shape, or form, but there was this one social event where I went to over a month ago, where afterwards I'm going, was that a good idea? Because it was extremely crowded and 6 feet nothing. It was a crowded enough place where you couldn't hear anybody until you were within 2 feet of them.
Yeah. Well, that's actually one of the things I'm nervous about is the like how it's going to be when we're trying to talk to customers and like talk to people who come to the tables and stuff. I mean, I know there's a table surrounding us and we're both wearing masks, which is good. But like, I'm used to leaning into people and, to make sure I hear them because conventions can be loud.
Yeah. I mean, not as loud as this venue I'm talking about. This one was loud, the kind of loud where you feel rude for not doing eye contact because you have to turn away from them to get your ear facing their mouth.
Yeah, exactly.
What event was this? Were you at a drawing session or?
This was at that indie gamer group I think I've told you about a few times.
Oh yeah.
This one was at a bar that I'm not particularly a fan of, even at the best of times, called what's the actual name of it? It's on Capitol Hill. A very good tap selection, but it has to be one of the loudest places I know. I mean, I gave in to temptation because it's been a year, but still.
Well, I think I will wear not a cloth. I find it easier to wear and talk with the thinner paper ones.
Mm-hmm. I have some cotton. Well, I have like two ones I really like, but I had some printed over at T Public of the commercials from the podcast.
Yeah.
So like Smile Forever Dental, their logo is a smiley face with vampire fangs. So like I have a couple masks like that I plan on wearing.
Now I know that Travis Bundy has made several different masks fairly early on during the pandemic. So I'll be curious to see what he ends up. Yeah, my wife still will not eat out at restaurants. She
Well, we
prefer-
ate out on my birthday, but then the Delta variant came, and now I'm nervous about eating out again. So I'm with your wife.
She's more worried about me doing Lilac City.
That's Bellingham, right?
No, it's
Oh wait, Spokane, isn't it?
Spokane. Because that's on the other side of the mountains. And her experience with dealing with people on the other side of the mountains, it's not that great. They tend to be more, that's the right wing.
It's a shame.
But I'm figuring it's a comic book convention. Most of the people that go to comic book conventions are not exactly right-wing individuals.
True, but there's the term convention crud is around for a reason.
Yeah.
One of the things I would recommend is having a little bottle of sanitizer at your table. Every time I had somebody come up, I'd hold out the sanitizer to them, splash a little bit in their hands, and then they could touch anything they want to on the table. And people were a lot better about letting their kids touch things. So you know how
Oh yeah, that's good to
in the
know.
past kids would just come up to the table and just start mauling everything. Their parents don't let them do that anymore. So that was nice.
Okay. You'll have a minute. I'll show you what I think it's ready for coloring now.
Okay, just a moment, Bill. Let me finish drawing this one last finger. I'll stop sharing so that you can share. There you go. The screen is yours.
Okay. Okay, so anyway, here's the patient. Currently, the plan is to have panel 1, 2, and the last panel colored, and the rest for the rising and set as the sun rises and sets, and everything else in monochrome blue.
Oh, that's a good treatment.
I love all your little skeletons dancing.
Oh, thank you. This one was something that took me forever before I started using the iPad.
Yeah.
I just wish there was a feature that would allow you to select the pixels and fatten the line like you can inside Photoshop.
That would be great, yes, other than the tracing option. Ooh.
So, Bill, how familiar are you with the name Alan Gladfelter?
I uh I've met him a few times. I heard he was working on a graphic novel recently.
Yes, and he's still working on it. But he got a job in my area teaching school.
Nice.
And it turns out he moved in practically, I would say about not just down the street from me, but within half a mile or just outside of half a mile. So I'm looking forward to hanging out with Alan in the near future. Whenever I would go and meet up with him inside Idaho, where I think that's his hometown, in Boise, we would always go out to dinner. And he quickly discovered that I was a foodie and would prefer going to more expensive places. So it gave him an excuse to go to more expensive places. And while I do enjoy going out to dinner with my wife, right now, or rather, she has some dietary restrictions as far as dairy goes. And there's a couple restaurants that she hasn't eaten at because everything on the menu has cheese on it in some sort of way, or cheese in it. So it's kind of curious. Have you guys ever gone to a place and not been able to order something because of dietary constraints?
I have. I'm allergic to fish. And we've gone to some place where we thought there was, like, when you looked on the online menu, it looked like there was enough like steaky things that I was going to find something. And there wasn't.
What a bummer.
Yeah. I ate vegetarian that day.
So all types of fish.
Mm-hmm. I have a deathly allergy.
That's a shame.
Yep.
I had a childhood dislike of it that sometimes I would, in my childish imagination, mistake for an allergy, but I know better for the most part.
Oh, well, so just so you know, we found out the hard way I was allergic to fish.
Oh,
I
dear.
don't remember this. I think it's a funny story, but my parents were freaking out. Like, they took me to the hospital and stuff because I had such a bad allergic reaction.
Well, how old were you before you actually had fish? Was it not
2.
something?
Oh no, I was just 2. Like, that's why I don't remember it all. I'm like, oh well. Like, I've had allergy tests since then where they're like, hey, let's, stab you and put a little fish oil and see if you're still allergic. Okay, yeah, you are. But yeah, I don't remember when I was 2 and apparently had to go to the hospital.
So, Bill, you were going to show us something.
Oh, I thought I already showed it to you.
Did you already go up and down? Do it again, will you?
Okay.
Oh, no, you did. It was the Dance Macabre one. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
I've been working on ways to streamline my coloring techniques, because another one to show you is this Sunday strip that I just finished. which I which I'm actually pretty happy with, though I'm not sure about the positioning of the logo.
You're going to need to put a white outline around Rhapsodies because I would drop the black, make the red, and put a fairly thick white outline around Rhapsodies,
Okay.
because right now that black is one of the thinnest lines out there, and it's not this, it's bleeding.
Right.
So but I don't think just replacing that with a thin white will work either.
Okay.
So you have some white be going behind you have a cloud going behind Rhapsodies, and I think you were doing that to kind of bounce out the red. But in this case, I would get rid of the cloud, make the clouds lighter, since you're going to be doing a solid white outline. If you do a solid white outline, I would also, where you have by Bill Morris in both black and red, I would just make that plain white, because I think that would read better.
Okay.
And it would tie in with the thick white outline you would put around Rhapsodies. Now I'm going to do and I'll show you what I mean about the lettering. I'm going to go and do a screen share.
Okay, I'll shut off. Okay.
What you doing,
Okay.
Walnut?
Okay. So I'll just hide these layers for the time being. So let's say that your background layer is a blue. I'll make that a lighter color blue. And that you have a little bit of white, and I'll just make that by I'm just trying to get this to the point where it's like on yours. This moment. Let's see. I would knock your cloud way back to something like, say, like that.
Right.
And then when you have your lettering for Rhapsodies, I'll just
Hi, Dennis. My camera's on. Yeah, I'm just telling you.
so I would behind your letter lettering. And I'm just going to make this lettering transparent so I can show you, because I know you have that done in Illustrator, right?
Well,
Your logo.
yeah.
Okay, so inside Illustrator, when you give it an outline, it draws it on both sides of the line like this,
Uh,
you know, where the line goes right down the middle of that departure. And what it does is it fills in on both the red and the background.
mhm.
But I would put this, you know, have all that happening on the second layer, or rather on a different layer, make it really thick. Yeah, I'm just going to go through here because, you know, of course, I can only emulate it. This, but I'm sure you'll get the idea once you see what I'm doing. Oops. But by having it on the bottom layer, or by having it underneath the layer that's got your lettering on it, that then has the additional white layer, half of that white line gets covered up. But the red of your letters is nice and full and crisp.
Mhm.
I'm just going to finish this. Oops. And you see how when that's reduced down, how that reads pretty well.
Yes.
So I'm just gonna,
So
and
is that
since you have that inside as a vector, you can keep increasing that size to determine what that'll look like. And you might like it if I wouldn't go whatever this width is, depending on how thick or thin it is, I would go, you know, at least that far in thickness and maybe a little bit more.
uh-huh.
And then down here you can go. And I think that will read a lot better and not be quite as intrusive as I think it'll read, but not be, you know,
Right.
visually. Yeah. Anyway, I think you got that.
Okay, yeah, now I
Stop share. Oh, I got a costume design I want to show you guys. There's a Facebook group that I like, which shows tikis because I like tiki artwork.
never
And
would have
somebody, yeah, you never would have guessed. And let's see, share screen again. So I was trying to think of someone was saying, hey, what can I do? What are some ideas for a tiki costume party? And I thought, you know, if he was wearing a mask,
it's
he's
not
going to be stuck wearing, yeah, it's not very practical. So I was trying to think of a practical costume, and this is what I came up with. You basically get some football shoulder pads and mount a pot rim on it, and then with some wire hangers fill up a form for a kettle that could hang around down around your body, and that way your head's just sticking out the top of the pot like you're being boiled alive. And I thought that, and then of course it is helpful if you've got like a pith helmet, but everybody's got a pith helmet, right? I got one in the garage.
Hmm.
Yeah, sure. Everybody I know has a pith helmet.
Surely you have a variety of silly hats in your house. I'm going to stop sharing again. I have quite the variety of silly hats.
I have
you have-
a lot of elf costumes because Famine Lands back in the day. I don't know if either of you remember, but me and Maria, the girl who helped me when we did that project, we used to dress up like elves to go to conventions. I figured if I wasn't willing to dress up like an elf for my own book, nobody else should be.
Oh, speaking of fantasy, see what it's a little side project I've been playing around with a little bit. The idea is sort of starting with Snow White and the Seven Dwarves, but it sort of occurred to me that the dwarves and German folk tales are very different from what the oh, sorry, looks like I know.
Have you watched a German movie that was broadcast on the BBC many decades ago called The Ringing Singing Tree?
No.
Mhm.
Oh, you gotta watch this YouTube. It's horrifying. And there's this evil little dwarf. And yeah, The Ringing Singing Tree.
Yeah, but anyway, the idea that I had was that Tolkien elves are, for lack of a better word, Tolkien's dwarves and generic fantasy dwarfs that have been ripping him off ever since are mountain dwarves, and the dwarves that show up in Snow White and a lot of the other Brothers Grimm stories are forest dwarves. And so I was sort of trying to come up with dwarves that kind of fit that. So this is my first try at it.
Cool.
Nice.
I like the little hat with the dots.
Oh yeah, that one came out nice. I was sort of trying to, I was going through German 19th century German fashion for ideas, so as to make them less Viking-like.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of my alarms. Did anyone see any interesting movies this weekend?
Not this weekend, but I finally saw Black Widow on Thursday. Actually, did I say that already?
Yeah, you at another drawing get together.
Well, Dennis has been in a mood for like monsters in the ocean. So
Oh,
we
really?
watched like 4 different monster ocean movies from the 80s. This is the obvious one.
And
But
actually, sorry.
Go ahead.
Actually, I did finish watching a brand new Godzilla anime.
How was that?
Very good, actually. I liked it better than the last one, which was, I think it was called Godzilla Planet or something similar.
Is that the one where there's like, we just saw one that was sort of sci-fi and it was like Godzilla and some other monsters, but there is Monster Island, but there's also like something going on the moon.
Maybe. The other one I was thinking of was one where humanity comes back to Earth after a couple hundred years and they can't recolonize because Godzilla. And this one called Singular Point, a pretty standard Godzilla is one of the monsters of the apocalypse kind of things, but had some fairly good human elements.
Cool.
So I'm kind of curious. Tell me more about which movies you went for the 80s.
So we watched Deep Star 6.
Okay, awesome. Which
And then
came out at the same time that the big one with Ed Harris came out.
Yeah. So The Abyss, Deep Star 6, and this terrible movie that we also started watching, which I can't even think of the name, but the costumes are hilariously bad. All came out the same year.
Oh, I want to know what the hilarious bad one was.
I text Dennis. He did just get home, so I'll text him. He's in the other room.
What was the monster? Was it Leviathan? No.
Oh, Leviathan. That's the other one we watched.
Okay.
Yeah. No, that was not the bad one. There's this one movie, and the costumes are like plaid and pink and blue. It looks like they're all bad waiters or something. Hold on. Dennis will know. And the funniest part is we stopped watching it, I think the exact same place that we stopped watching it the first time. Because we have tons of movies. But it was funny because he turned it on and said, I don't think I've seen this. And I'm like, yes, we have. I recognize those costumes.
So
Dennis loves Leviathan. We have seen that so many times. He enjoys that one. Not pretending it's high art or anything.
Nothing wrong with guilty pleasures.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's called Lords of the Deep. That was the one we couldn't finish. It was so bad. I told you Dennis would know.
Did that have Peter Cushing in it?
No. Lords of the Deep has, hold on, I'll just look that up. The actors that people might recognize is like Priscilla Barnes is in it. Oh, and there was another movie we saw, and it had Lance Hendricks in it, but it's super dark.
I know the one you're talking about.
Oh my gosh, Dennis just said Lords of the Deep, aka the Pink Button Crew. That's how bad he doesn't even know I'm talking about the costumes because I'm in my closet. He's in the other room.
So I watched one that's from the 90s called Deep Rising. Which has a fair amount of CGI in it. Absolutely horrendous. I just did this coloring, but I did it all on the wrong layer. And so basically going to undo all these steps. I have found that if you've been doing some work, like say coloring, and you realize you've been working on the wrong layer, what you can do is quickly make little blobs of the colors off to a side section of the illustration, copy them, then undo all the work that you've done on the wrong layer, go back to the layer that you should be working on and paste, and the color blobs that you had will show up. And that way you can just quickly select them and plop them back into position. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen since I'm coloring really fast. That should be interesting to watch. Come on. No. Come on. There we go. Now I gotta figure out how to color these shoes. Don't think that blue is working. I think they need to be maybe a little bit more. There we go. I think that works a little bit better. So tomorrow I'm taking my wife to the dentist. Which usually means a stop by Wajimaya to pick up some lunch. Now, do you think that added detail on the shoe is too much?
Just a sec.
No,
No.
I think the only thing is I just need to have them spaced wider apart. Oops. Now I'm going to go in and add a black layer for tone. What I do is to add a little bit of shading, I'll go on to my completely separate layer, and you see how I'm just adding in this completely black shadow, but that's too black, so I'll go in and change the opacity, and now it's just a shade. It looks more like a shadow, and I'll just go in and draw a bunch of shadows now. What are you guys going to do tomorrow?
Ooh.
exactly what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, I'm trying to finish this current storyline where it's sort of a catch-22. After you heard me complaining about it for the last 2 weeks. I finally figured out how it would work. But then after that, I decided that that the climax that made it work would look better in a would be more effective on a Sunday strip. But because of that, I had to add 3 more strips to pad it out till that Sunday.
I thought you like to have your Sunday strips be stories in amongst themselves.
Sometimes, though other times I like them to be kind of supporting the main story.
So I'm kind of curious, Elizabeth. Come Halloween, do you guys have a list of movies all set up? Or a theme you're going to watch
No
for the
clue
month
yet.
of October? Nothing yet.
We always watch something. I mean, we watch horror movies throughout the entire year.
Well, what I mean is, I usually go with a particular theme. Like I get caught up on I'm planning this year on getting caught up on all my werewolf movies.
Oh,
And last year I got caught up on all my vampire movies. Like Byzantium and
Mhm.
What We Do in the Shadows.
it's rather interesting. For a while, I was doing a vampire movie list based on Vampire the Masquerade, essentially being what vampire movie fit whatever clan from Vampire the Masquerade. So Nosferatu is obviously Nosferatu. Byzantium, I decided, was the best Ventru movie. And what's the one with Love Lasts Forever? What?
Only Lovers Left Alive?
Only Lovers Left Alive was the perfect Toreador film. And
Toreador?
essentially this game, Vampire the Masquerades, has different clans of vampires. So
Okay, now I understand because I was unfamiliar with the game structure. Okay.
yeah, so Toreadors are these rather classy vampires who are utterly obsessed with art and aesthetics. And Ventru are kind of the ruling class of the vampires, but one of their handicaps is that they're only able to drink a specific kind of blood. So the whole shtick with only virgins and stuff, that's a Ventru trait. And so Byzantium definitely fits that quality, where the daughter only feeds from hospice patients, and the mother only drank from rapists. Was it? It's been a while since I watched Byzantium.
I don't recall, but I do remember that Andy Warhol's Dracula.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah, I remember that. That one would have fit as well.
Yeah, they also only drink virgins. By the way, did you see the Andy Warhol Frankenstein?
I haven't yet to see it. How is
It is really screwed up.
I almost.
Now, what is it called now? Is it just Andy
Oh,
Warhol's
I know. It's probably
Frankenstein,
Andy
or is it
Warhol's
called-
Frankenstein.
or is it called Frankenstein something something?
It might be Frankenstein's. It might be one of the words like house or something. I don't know. I watched it, and then of course the vampire one showed up. But yeah, I thought it was really interesting. But it also is pretty messed up. And the same guy that plays Dracula in Andy Warhol's Dracula plays Frankenstein too.
Well,
I know you guys know his name. I don't.
I'll have to look it up.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm pretty happy with how this is turning out.
You guys want to see what I'm drawing?
Yeah, I want to see how you guys.
Okay. It's obviously not done.
Okay.
Also, hold on real quick. I have to. My mom was texting me through this whole thing, so I had to like pull off her text.
I like it.
Thanks.
Oh yeah, very nice.
Sort of has a gothic Jane Austen quality to it.
Yeah, and so no one knows this unless you've read her book. I'm like characters' books, but these little statues that are on her coffin are statues of her children, her real children, not her vampire children.
Right.
She misses them terribly.
Right.
But you know they're all dead because they were centuries ago.
Okay. Okay, let's see what you think if this is going in the right direction so far.
Okay, and then we'll bring this to a close because we're already overtime.
I saw.
Oh, I love it.
I think I need to work on my palette a little bit. But need to
I
tighten.
think that even though she is a girl of color,
Mhm.
her skin needs to be lighter than the background colors.
Okay.
Also, her shorts and her skin in the middle panel are almost the same color, and they're the same color as the grass.
Okay.
So if you could darken her shorts first of all, and then whatever skin color you go with, just whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the kind of the tone that you're putting into the skeleton,
Mhm.
but I think that needs to be in all the skeletons. You may want to put that on one layer so that you can go ahead and move that around at the final to make sure, see how light you can bring it out.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that she should be the lightest thing. Her shirt and her skin tone should be one of the lightest things in the shot. I think everything else has to be the has to be darker than her. The moment that her skin tone becomes matches anything in the background,
Yeah.
it flattens the whole thing out and you lose her.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, once again, you guys have been watching another episode of Epic Sketch Time. I hope you enjoyed all the drawing that was going along. Maybe next week we'll see the end of Bill's, or you'll certainly see the end of my illustration, and maybe even how far, Elizabeth, will you be done by next week, or is this a work in progress?
Knows.
Who knows? We'll check. Well, come back next week and check it out, or even join us and draw for a little while. Anyway, thank you again, everyone.